Welcome back to HGC Korea. I'm Wolf. With me is G-Clef. This is the most competitive HGC region, and this is the tournament that basically sets the stage for which team will win the global championship. We'll see if the team that gets first place here goes on to win the mid-season brawl.
That's right. Today's day 2, and we saw some of the great actions in HGC Korea in day 1. We had 4 of the higher teams, so to say: Tempest, L5, MVP Miracle, MVP Black, and even Mighty, surprisingly defeating MVP Miracle yesterday. So that was some upset. There was also already an upset yesterday. So will Mighty also take out L5 today? That's waiting in line. Match number 3. So don't go anywhere. Please wait. And we're gonna have day 2 going on today.
That's right, day 2. A lot of good matches coming in today. But again, the story from yesterday really was about the macro play and the rotations that we saw from teams' reactions to pushes, movements on the map, merc camps. But more than anything else, which led to good macro play, more than specific rotations, really was what heroes were available. The priority on the global heroes we're seeing in Korea already is super high, and it's won games for teams a lot already. And I think we're going to see this trend continue going into today's best of fives.
Yeah, at least for today and also tomorrow before we hit the new patch for next week. I'm pretty sure yesterday we could pretty much tell which team had the higher ups from the macro, especially just by the end of the draft. You could tell, oh, this team will have a higher chance of winning because they can just out macro the other team just so hard, especially on maps like Dragonshire or Towers of Doom and so on.
Yep, so I think in just a moment we're going to show you guys the tournament format and structure. So let's take a look at that. I'm not actually a wizard. I can't summon it up. I just know from rehearsals that that's what will come next. And I had this whispering in my ear that was telling me that was going to happen. But anyways, this if you missed yesterday, this tournament is the same tournament format as we have across the entire world in China, Europe, and NA. So it's no longer Super League. No one wins this tournament, but we will be unofficially recognizing the first place team as an OGN champion going into the mid-season brawl.
Yeah, that's right. And there are many possibilities. A lot of, including myself, a lot of people are still picking L5 as the favorites of Korean League. But still, let's take a look at the overview.
All right. So I mean, as you said, we're taking this as an overview now. First place takes 35 grand. That's nearly 8 grand more than second place. And third to eighth is going to be just a little bit less money. But getting first place is super important. And of course, as we get closer to the end of this double round robin, we'll be showing you guys exactly where the standings mean going into playoffs. There's a lot of prize money here on top of the Blizzard salary that these players that have qualified for this league will be receiving their appearance fees. And this tournament will be, as in Europe and America, every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And here are our current standings.
And the standings, if you saw day 1 of Korea, L5 had a 3-0 victory against Shrimp Mixtape, a dominant victory. They had their lead, they took it. MVP Black had a little bit of struggle at the beginning against Tempest, but still they had a solid 3-1 victory. And Mighty, they had a 3-2 victory over MVP Miracle. That was a long match, but still one of the most exciting match of yesterday.
Definitely so. Looking at today's matches, we will see Raven and GG play today, which means that after today, every team in the league will have played at least one match. So we'll have a good idea of where things stand after that. Normally in a league format like this, it takes a week for that to happen. But because we actually are 2 weeks behind the other regions for 2 weeks in Korea, each night in Korea, we're going to have an extra best of 5. Before we talk too much more about that, let's take a look at this intro video. Here it goes.
Oh, it's ready. It's coming.
Wow, okay. The Korean cast are talking for
I guess we can change it when the video actually changes. I think we can get it on.
Yeah. There we go.
There we go. There's the sound.
안녕하세요. MVP 블랙의 주장을 맡고 있는 이중혁이라고 합니다.
저는 MVP 블랙에서 올라운더를 맡고 있는 정원호 교차입니다.
팀이 리빌딩 됐는데 아직은 좀 부족한 것 같아요. 사인은 생활적인 부분은 문제가 없었는데 팀적인 부분에서 좀 안 맞는 부분이 좀 많았고 리치 같은 경우는 자기가 새롭게 도전하고 싶다 그래가지고 응원하겠다 이렇게 해가지고 잘 마무리됐고 나머지 3명은 MVP 블랙에 남아서 자연스럽게 리빌딩 된 것 같아요.
리빌딩 되어서 장점과 단점 다 있는 것 같아요. 제 포지션 자체가 거의 재원이 자리라서 모자랄 수 있는데 뱀픽 싸움이나 전략 싸움에서는 강해진 것 같아요.
아무래도 이번에 포지션도 바꾸고 나이도 어린 젊은 피 리셋 선수가 저희 키플레이어인 것 같아요. 젊은이의 패기를 두르고 있기 때문에 게임이나 이런 피지컬적인 부분에서 앞으로 기대가 많이 되고 있는 친구예요.
저는 요즘에는 저희 늙은 필 부장인 사케 이중혁 선수가 요즘에 연습도 많이 하는 것 같고 다시 과거의 영광을 되찾으려고 하는 것 같아서 요즘 키플레이어 생각해요.
그냥 잘해요. 저희가 아직 리빌딩 된 지 아직 얼마 안 됐고 옛날 블랙처럼 조금씩 올라갈 테니까 응원 많이 해주셨으면 감사할 것 같아요.
이번 리빌딩 된 멤버들과 재밌게 게임하면서 블리즈컨까지 가고 싶어요.
MVP Black, historically the most successful Heroes of the Storm team in the world, internationally. They have more titles than any other team. The only tournament they've ever played in to not make the finals was BlizzCon in 2016. But it feels like right now this team is chasing its former glory, and it can't quite catch up with itself. I mean, we have Reset on the team now. Tist is really the guy I feel who's holding the team together as he did on Miracle. But they didn't look perfect yesterday. They did look better, I feel, though, than what we saw at BlizzCon and at the World Championship in China.
I think they really had the momentum going after game one. Game one, they were still warming up, and then starting from game two, they really had the macro. And as we had to talk about Kyocha, as he can play anything that he wants to. He was on Tracer, he was on Tassadar, he was on the Haka. He made some super plays that changed around the team fights.
Kyocha has really, completely changed his role here. Now, we've only really seen him on the Dahaka besides his Tassadar, which we played as the team was lacking a bruiser, so he went back to his old flex role in that particular game there with the Tassadar volley composition. Doesn't look like he's in too good of a mood right now with the camera shot there, but this guy is someone to look out for. But I really do feel personally, more than Kyocha, watch out for Tis, the man you see just to Kyocha's left up here on top right of your screen. He's the tank player. He was MVP Miracle's tank player. Reset is now the ranged flex. He's taken over Kyocha's role, but ranged flex has moved away from secondary support right now in this current meta, more towards damage. So Reset's going to be playing heroes like Falstad, so look out for him as well. Sake, of course, always a force to be reckoned with. Let's take a look at our Raven for the first time.
저희 레이브는 전 시즌에 활동했던 레이브 팀과 마이티 팀 그리고 아마추어로 활동했던 해파리 선수가 같이 모여서 만들게 된 팀이에요. 예선 일주일 전쯤에 짱맨 선수가 같이 합류하게 돼서 그때 완성이 됐어요.
저는 그냥 정민 형 방송에 출연했다가 갑자기 연락이 와서 납치당했습니다.
하멜린 형과 저의 공격적인 성향과 NMX 그 형과 조주 형의 그 수비적인 성향을 곁들인 밸런스가 잘 갖춰진 팀이라 보시면 됩니다.
저희는 약간 운영보다는 한 번에 크게 싸우는 한타를 좀 잘하는 팀이에요. 다행히 서로 호흡도 잘 맞고 서로 말하지 않아도 잘 맞춰주는 부분도 많아서 편하게 게임하고 있어요.
저는 저희 팀의 지원가를 맡고 있는 조주 선수를 꼽고 싶은데요.
서포터 중에서는 아주 강한 선수인 것 같아요. 다른 서포터에 비해서 좀 적극적으로 앞에 잘 나가고 그렇게 크게 죽지 않는?
이 선수만 있으면은 웬만한 팀은 다 이길 수 있을 것 같아요. 감히 쳐다볼 수도 없을 정도로 정화는 그냥 마음에서 외친 대로 들어가고 살리고자 하는 자는 다 살리는 그런 신과 같은 존재입니다. 경기 수가 많아진 만큼 프로로 전념하던 시절보다 못한 기량을 보여드리지 않고 다 때려잡는 모습을 보여드리겠습니다.
지금보다도 더 나은 모습을 보여드리기 위해 노력하겠습니다.
좋은 결과가 있기를 바라면서 최대한 열심히 준비하겠습니다.
All right, Raven, this team is basically rebuilt first family. You've got NMX, Hamlin, H82, Joju is a great support player. We've seen him in the amateur scene. And DeYoung, something that maybe you're not familiar with if you only watched Super League, but if you watched Power League and some of the other tournaments out here, the amateur ones, you probably recognize this Warrior player.
Yeah, they're a mixture of brave and old mighty. They have a lot of tough journey because they had to meet Tempest in the same group during the qualifiers, but they all went all the way to the wild cards, and then they were the last team to come up basically. But still, on paper, they have a pretty good face. And then if you watch the Korean League a lot, you probably notice H82, NMX, and Hamlin as one of those players that was in the scene before. And they were talking about Joju as he cleanses when my heart is shouting cleanse. I guess he's one of the best. There are many best supports that makes the play during team fights, and that change around the team fights a lot. And depending on Joju, I think the team fight can turn around a lot against MVP Black.
In terms of what he played in the qualifiers, he's favoring Ario quite highly, which can already lead you to believe that this is going to be a team that highly prioritizes Vala. And he also has been favoring Rhaegar above Kharazim, something that Merryday yesterday showed us he was not. And in general, yesterday we saw mostly Kharazim over the Rhaegar, which was a mostly Bloodlust Rhaegar. There's a high chance we see some more Bloodlust here with Joju prioritizing that over Kharazim, but look for the Vala pick for this team, that Vala Glass Cannon, like we were seeing a lot of yesterday. So this team definitely the underdogs here, absolutely. But every member of this team has tournament experience. None of these guys are new blood. You might not know them, you might not recognize them, but they have that experience. And as they are Team Raven, they will actually choose the Raven map here with Cursed Hollow.
Yeah, it fits them, man. The ban goes for MVP Black is Infernal Shrines, and Raven chose to ban the Warhead Junction, which is my least favorite match, but still pretty good. And as a lot of the teams chose Cursed Hollow for the very first map, like same as day one. I'm pretty sure this is the third time that
Yes,
happened.
the Cursed Hollow is very commonly first picked in this tournament so far, and I like that because it's my favorite map. But that and Dragonshire we've been seeing a lot of. Towers of Doom making a few appearances as well. No Tomb of the Spider Queen just yet, actually, as it turns out. But we are going to be going into that first ban pick here. Our draft starting, as you mentioned, with MVP Black with the first ban. Then that Zarya feels pretty appealing right now.
Yeah, Zarya was banned from 9 drafts yesterday, have 75% of ban rate out of 12 games. So you can kind of tell how strong or how important Zarya is in the Korean meta right now. And also ETC. ETC has been played just so many times as having the ability to tank in the front line and have so many CCs. Also able to choose just become global hero at level 10.
So Raven here has a few different choices. The problem with being second pick right now in the meta is there's so many strong first pick heroes. Like if you actually ban Falstad because you feel like that's the right choice, then Black could just take Ragnaros. And that's a big problem. Also, Tassadar is something that Raven is considering right now. First pick is so strong in this meta. I really feel it's much better than second pick on most maps. This is just a scary moment where Black gets the easy free Zarya ban and Raven has the tough choice. So we're going to see a lot more of that. The first ban going to Zarya, and the second ban, especially in game 1 in the best of 5, takes a little bit longer to decide. We're really looking at Falstad, Tassadar here.
They have to make a choice.
There's the Tassadar ban.
And basically Black, I think, from game 2 yesterday, after they literally just started to have Tassadar, they started winning the macro, the team fights, basically everything through game 2, 3, 4, and then they just beat Tempest just like that.
Black is going to take Zeratul here, which is a really interesting pick. It's going to be, I believe, the third time we'll see him in this tournament. It was picked twice yesterday by MVP Miracle.
But it was banned half of the time, so I think it's forcing... It's really not, but by not taking Falstad, it is forcing the pick to... If you want to pick Falstad, go ahead, but we have Zeratul and we can literally just snipe you down. So if you're confident, go ahead. That's MVP Black is just so confident that they can just bring down that bird.
Yeah, that's the exact idea behind this Zeratul pick, I'd say. And this is going to be interesting because we'll see Kyocha on the Zeratul this time, I imagine, considering the role swaps. Even though Reset is considered to be the best Zeratul player in Korea with the role swap to ranged, I don't think he'll be playing it. Raven does not look prepared for this draft. I worry when first picks and bans take this long, and they're going to lock in Varian and Malfurion. Varian actually jumping up the priority list quite a bit throughout yesterday's matches and getting all the way to the top here in the second one. as Black now, with support taken on their opponent's side, look to grab the range damage here, as well as one of their warriors.
And even Malfurion, out of the 12 games, Malfurion was picked almost 11 times or just banned out once. So Malfurion has 100% ban pick rate in Korea right now. Such a strong support in the game.
There's the range they're going to choose, Falstad, because it wasn't taken from them. They decided, they hesitated for a moment because they were looking for the Zeratul to potentially pick the Falstad, but with it left open, they grab it up themselves. Now they have 2 global heroes here, and it's the ETC commentator skin. Look at that. He's about to cast this game from inside the game.
And I think MVP Black can just ban out the Haka, and that would just limit Raven from taking nothing, basically, because they already have Malfurion. They can't really take Right Wing. So literally they will have close to 0 global in this huge map of Cursed Hollows. So I think Black is being like way too smart about the draft, and Raven is already looking pretty bad in shape of the drafting right now.
It just feels like there's no reason to prioritize Varian this highly. He is very sticky and he's great. He's considered by many to be a counter to Zeratul. We saw him used yesterday for that reason. The taunt obviously locks Zeratul in place and you can actually kill him so he can't blink away, or use his Vorpal that he has now on level 1. So something to keep in mind. We're going to see the Gul'dan ban here for just some ranged damage, something that Black has been using quite a bit. Sake loving the hero right now, and when you've got such a good Falstad player in Reset, that's a scary hero to think about. Sake could still play Li Ming.
Yep, that Li Ming's open, and there are just lots of choices. I think Gul'dan was just one of the choices, and Black just by hero pool. It's just having a wide range of hero pool. It helps so much during the draft, and we can kind of see that happening here with Black and Raven, as Raven is more forced into the corner to make choices when Black is just open wide in the ocean doing whatever they want to.
The Vala ban here is curious because you know, Vala is quite powerful, sure, and they are going to need some sort of ranged 80 damage here. But I agree with what you said earlier. I think that Dahaka ban would have been stronger here in terms of knocking down global heroes. Raven will have the ability to get Dahaka now, if they should choose to, and taunt into Tongue or vice versa is a very powerful combo. You can also pair that with the root to lock down one target and kill it, like the Falstad, for example, or the ETC when it's trying to move into range to get a stun. So that's what we're going to be looking for here. You can obviously then do that against the Zeratul to get a pick on him as well. So, I mean, it works on any hero, to be honest with you guys. But any hero that's up in the front lines, you do that combo. It's very powerful. Raven is really giving their time into this. They are going to need a range damage dealer, probably like Li Ming or Tychus here, to pair with it. Tychus obviously going to be quite strong against ETC. Li Ming comes in, and Tychus. They're going to do both. I'm going to save their final pick, which will likely be the Dahaka, to see if it fits the composition more based on what Black chooses in their final rotation here.
I think Black can just take away Dehaka. Kyocho can still play Dehaka. Just like yesterday, he was coming into the team fight from the other side, and he was making all that changes. He basically forced the back line of the opponent to be like out of position, and then it forced the team fight in heavily favor of MVP Black. And will we see that again today? We'll see.
I mean,
Kyocho
yeah,
picks Dehaka again.
Honestly, we could just see Dahaka into Karazim here. Look at Kyocho's face. He's clearly discussing the possibility of that right now.
I have this and this, and this. What should I pick?
That would allow Reset to play his Zeratul. Then you have the Falstad to just be played by Sake as a solo range damage. It is not a bad pick by any means. It's not really what their roles are for currently. They're going to take Hammer, so it is going to just be Kyocho on the Zeratul. And I think with this, it's almost a must pick for Daka. Otherwise, you get just wave cleared, trashed on by all the pushing power this team has. It could be in all 3 lanes. You're always going to be under pressure. You're going to lose your keep walls super fast. I think they absolutely needed the Dahaka here, or they're just going to be worn down. They can't go double support Brightwing, as you mentioned. They already have Malfurion. It just doesn't suit the composition.
Well, there are some other options, like if you want to go for level 10, you can go for Tyrael just to save Tychus and Varian in the front line. But that means, like we saw against Black and Tempest yesterday, they were waiting for level 10, and basically the game exploded before level 10. They were level 8 when Black was 10. And then the game was probably just almost over. We can't say it's almost over when it's that early in the game, but still, in that pro play, they will just keep on snowballing, and Black, they know how to snowball the game. And Raven against them, they're like really forced into the tough choice here.
Artanis.
A little
This
bit
feels
surprising.
Desperate. I don't like it.
Little bit surprising, but they're also lacking in the front line. And MVP Black does only have ETC in the front line also, but the amount of damage they can put out, and maybe they can literally save anyone with that palm. So we'll see what happens in Cursed Hollows.
That we will. Game number 1. The draft looking stronger for Black so far. Can Raven make the Artanis pick work? We're going to find out right here, right now in game number 1 on Cursed Hollow. MVP Black. Sake on Falstad, Reset on Sergeant Hammer, Tist on ETC, Kyocha on Zeratul, and Verity on Karzin.
전투 시작까지 10초 남았다.
And in red on the right, Raven, Joju on Malfurion, Hamlin on Tychus, NMX31 and Li Ming, Young on Darien, and H82 on Artanis. I think
Okay.
MVP Black is... They're not going to fight. I don't think they even want to fight. They don't even have to fight with that team comp. They can just out-rotate the entire game and just not even have a single kill. I'm sure they're going to have some kills at the end, but still. They're going to out-rotate, out-macro the entire time, and then they can just take the game.
You see Meride B-step NMX at level 1 here in lane and dodge his missiles. You know there's some disrespect going on. Reset will get a free cannon tower here, which is because of ETC. Notice the minimap, you can see ETC's positioning. He also has mines here for vision and slows. H82 will just never be able to get there. Sorry, not going to happen. You lost your tower. You don't have globals. You're in trouble. This is a global meta, and MVP Black already massively ahead. The lane is pushed. Karzim's coming up. This is a baited rotation here, because Karzim went Iron Fist, but NMX is already here as well, so this ends up being better for Raven than it could have been. Smart rotation there. It's like the tri-lane's actually going to be in the top for the time being. Let's talk about H82 for a minute, because in Season 3 of Super League, I think he was definitely the weak link for his team. He got caught in the top lane when he was playing Thrall and Illaen quite a few times back in the day. He needs to be careful if he's going to continue to be the solo laner here for Raven now, that does not happen consistently, because the rest of the teams in this league are punish-oriented, especially L5 when they encounter that. If he's trying to get greedy in lane, he will die.
Well, MVP Black definitely looks super strong right now against Raven, but Raven still has a chance. It's not like the game's already over, it's done. Well, we can't even predict that. There's no way that we can say that here. But Raven, let's take a look and see what they can do against this huge map, against that big macro they already started. And Raven looks like so far they're not doing too bad compared to some other games.
Notice Raven also has Joju running Scouting Drone here again, as Kyocha actually nearly gets taken out here in the mid lane. You know, a bit too much damage. Remember, Kyocha is just recently position swapped. He's not normally the Zeratul player. I think this may be his first professional game played on Zeratul ever that I could think of. I don't think he ever had to flex into that before. The Scouting Drone pick again here for Raven, though, gives them the ability to poke better with Li Ming more consistently and not blindly to deny tributes. And that's one of the reasons why Li Ming is so strong on this map. Tychus as well. They have a lot of poke, they have a lot of delay power for the tribute fights, and that's going to be something that they can use to try to use the curse as a pushing factor, as a pressure tactic, because they don't have global. So it's important that they actually maintain a tribute lead here, as Kyocha and Tist going to try to party bush here a little bit, but not going to be able to take this 2v3. Ooh, Phase Prison misses.
That was a nice try, but did miss, and Meride gonna go ahead already trying to get that tribute.
Here comes the poking I was talking about, though, and here's the follow-up stun. Meride will have to get out using his spirit there.
And I think Zeratul is coming on Falstad, not flying over the entire time. You said is almost taken out, but he's safe for now. The first tribute does go to Raven, and
It's worrisome that Raven needed 5 people.
Deja vu?
Yeah, it feels really similar, right? It's worrisome that Raven needed 5 people to do this, because that means that Reset gets free soak in the bot lane. And that's a big problem, because for the first few tributes, you're not, if you want to maintain soak while you get it, use your poke to make sure you don't need 5 people to take it, because Reset's in the bot lane. If you actually have all 5 there, you get the tribute, which is small face value for now, because you're not going to be on curse point anytime soon, at least until your next tribute. And when it comes to your 3rd tribute fight, you might lose it starting from that point without heroics. So the first 2 don't matter as much. You need to get them, like I said, because they don't have globals, they don't have any sort of pressure with this composition. But you don't need to get them with 5 when Sake, in this case, not Reset this time, is Falstad in the bot lane.
This actually happened. L5 actually used the same strategy yesterday. They were not even like contesting for tribute. MVP Black at least kind of contested for that tribute, but L5 just gave out the first 3 tributes to the opponent, and they were just. But still, they were out-rotating. They were maintaining a level ahead lead. That's exactly what you talked about, L5 and MVP Black. After watching that, I'm sure they picked up on that somewhere, and they're literally trying the same thing.
I mean, it's very similar to what Black did in Game 4 yesterday to close out their series as well. Meriday gets the 2nd tribute here, and this is already starting to feel pretty disastrous. With the composition that Raven has, yes, they don't have a strong, powerful hero like ETC to zone and force these tributes, and that was not a good spawn for them. But again, they have so much poke, they weren't able to get there or use it because this lane that's in the bot where the tribute spawn is so pushed. Hamlin down here alone gets jumped on, and the rest of the team got mercs and didn't have vision, so he should not have been that far up. Tist, meanwhile, has complete vision of everything that they're doing. Gets in here, harasses. They're going to get this wave. They're going to get 10. They get the fort in the bottom. And Black just looks like S tier compared to Raven looking like B tier at this moment in time in this early game. And yes, a lot of this comes down to draft and not individual mechanics, but in terms of both, Black is outclassing them.
It's just a big macro fight, and this tells how good a team is right now, especially in Korean region. If you do not win the macro fight, it's so hard to win the game, especially because NMX in trouble. Li Ming is blown up right there.
I mean, that's really just that's mechanical error right there. But also, they had heroics, that napalm strike helped him get the kill. Didn't even need it. He had 2-level scaling advantage. They're going to take a boss here. They're going to have boss on Curse Point. This could be our fastest Curse Hollow game yet if this continues. Look at the minimap. Right now, Raven is pressuring the bot lane. They're taking Merc camps. They have no vision of the boss. Even if they did, they wouldn't be able to deny it without heroics. So, look at the minimap. They're just kind of turtling behind the wall here.
They're forced to go around because they have been pressured so much already, and that also includes losing a lot of time. And Falstad, they actually pick up on Falstad H882 coming from the side. That was enough damage, and this is their chance. They have to hit 10 and maybe possibly contest for the next 2 tributes and get the curse, and that will be their chance to push a little more.
There's something else I want to point out here, which is really cool, is that the top lane was actually pushed for Raven when this happened, so it was hard for them to soak there, and they were less likely to try to soak for it, so they didn't have vision. Intentional or not, I have to go back and watch to see if Black actually tried to keep that lane pushed. As we see this fight ensue here, Reset does get healed and, tries to escape here. As Sake also very, very low. NMX survives, but Meriday with the Iron Fist gets the kill.
But he has the palm. Meriday does go sacrifice, but it is silenced right before using the palm. Great job by Joju, and here comes the stage dive, and Hamlin does go into the Odin form.
All right, this is what Raven needs. They would need to win team fights like this because taking macro objectives is going to be so difficult with this team comp. Tist will escape here, does not get rooted. And they do deny this curse, which is so important. The boss, didn't actually line up with this as well as MVP Black would have liked. They did lose their keep wall, as you guys can see in the minimap to the top. NMX is clearing that right now. But this is a fight back for Raven. They've taken a lead in kills. They're still significantly behind, especially in structures. This next tribute fight will happen with Black on 13. And, it's impressive that this happened at all for Raven, but I really do have to say, with their team comp, if they can make these plays happen, the silence on Meriday especially, a key one there, they can win team fights. That's where their strength lies in, is winning those team fights, poking the tributes, delaying. But in terms of macro, of course, they're just always going to be slower than Black. As you can see, Black gets these caps. They're going to hit these waves. The bot lane, Kyocha, or sorry, not Kyocha. I'm so used to him playing range flex. It's actually going to be Sake pushing that bot lane all the way down towards the keep wall. Should be able to escape here. The team already sees the rotation, so they can actually bait this rotation down and then take a team fight here as well with 13 versus 12. Sake dodges up, but does get taunted here and killed. And that's actually going to make this a 5v4. MV Black not here in time to save him. And that's all due to H82 stopping the mounts and slowing that rotation down.
I think Raven is going really hard when they have to catch one, because they literally have to catch one if they cannot macro, as MVP Black has just so many more global heroes, and that was close, but not enough. If he actually got Sergeant Hammer would have also died right there. And great taunt coming in. CC's all the way, but Palm does go on.
All right, Falstad's back. Sake needs to fly in right away. Reset can deny this a lot with Napalm. He just uses Napalm really close, though. I don't know if they're going to be able to deny this. He doesn't have Napalm. They won't get it. And Sake will die for nothing here as Tist comes into the backline. But this is a 5v4, making it a 5v3. Huge mistake there to use the Napalm right at the front. He wasn't able to use it to delay, which is their only real good source of poke right now with this comp. With Sake being away, Tist narrowly escapes for the time being here. But it's funny how one Napalm could actually change everything, but if he had the Napalm available, then Sake gets there, they take a 5v5 fight. And Sake should not have come in once they couldn't delay. And Raven is now ahead in this game, almost.
And they almost caught up, and Kyoto Reset doing some damage here. And trying to take down Li Ming, but he's taunted again. I think DeYoung and Jojo are the super key players here. DeYoung going into that aggressive taunt, and actually all of his teammates are following them. Looks like their communication is on point, and Jojo using that Twilight Dream. You know, sometimes when I use, or some other people use Twilight Dream, if you just hit one, they say, why did you use it?
Yeah.
Because you can. But it is worth. Sometimes it is literally so worth it when you have to kill someone like Merryday or support from the other team, and there's a fight going on again, and just they stop the damage right at the palm, and then right after the palm is gone, they keep on damaging again, but they're in trouble again.
H82 is coming in here. He's at full health. He's got a lot of mana as well. If he gets the Prism here onto Sake, it's going to be a kill. In fact, might not even be necessary here. There's the stun and taunt. That's the kill onto Sake. So very aggressive power slide there. I think positionally it was correct. Raven was somewhat overextended, but Raven with good coordination, like you said, having the calls there, the targets. And MV Black started this game off great with their draft, with the early boss take. They got the keep wall. And in terms of structures, they're still ahead, and they have that keep wall. The bot wall, I think, is slightly damaged as well. And they're on Curse Point. They're still ahead, but Raven, if they continue to team fight like this, the macro of Black won't matter as much. Now, what Black can do, because they are on Curse Point, is if the Tribute fight doesn't look like it's going to go well, if Raven continues to poke at them, they can give up 2 Tributes while soaking for 20. They're going to have 16 here very shortly. Looks like we might have a boss for a boss here. Nope, Raven decided this is unsafe, and Black's going to start this first. And it will be a boss for boss, just a little bit faster here for Black.
And Black is, I sort of think they're losing their tempo during the team fight. Merryday went super aggressive, thinking that he can survive himself with the palm, but that was not the choice, and Raven stopping that damage before ETC going down with the palm. They're really on point. Their communication seems really crisp tonight, for now at least.
Black wanted to try to rotate up and get this, but they didn't have the lead they thought they did. Tist just going to go up here and check. Not a crazy risky check, because you can always stage dive out if things go wrong. MVP Black is proxied here between the towers. Not entirely. I have to be totally honest here. Black is taking a 1 game essentially and throwing it away with these moves like this. Reset very low. He will get away. Augustus forced to be used. Can they actually kill H82? He's isolated here. So much ability power damage goes off. There's the Void Prism. They can turn this fight now. And this is so terrifying for Raven, because this is Curse Point for MVP Black.
And DeYoung trying to escape the fight, but is that going to be enough? He just is on his tails right now, but he does go get back safe. So that's a good trade still, getting Artanis in the front line. He went a little, H82 went a little too aggressive, because that was his only swap for the game tonight, and I think he got a little too excited there.
All right, don't forget that everyone is basically respawned. H82, the last one to come up here. They can get this mid keep. The bot Merc camps, or excuse me, the top Merc camps were pushing, but it looks like they were very low on health because they just died. I think Black's best bet is to rotate mid here and try to get that mid keep. There's not much else on the map here. The boss, of course, is heading towards their base, but there's no support for minions, so it's not actually that threatening. Sake is going to go back and defend it. They're not going to pressure the mid keep, which is a bit disappointing. This curse for Black, fairly lackluster. It feels like they could have done more, but because the boss was top and everyone had low mana, they decided to go back. They didn't even need to go back to get the boss. As you guys can see on the minimap, it was killed anyways. But this is the safe play.
It is
I don't want to
play.
be too critical. This is absolutely the safe play.
It is a safe play, and then when you're unsure of what to do, the best choice is always go back home and get your mana back, and then come back to ready to fight instead of just stalling around, just rotating somewhere. And that's like the chance of your opponent to come in and just ruin the game. So instead of that, just go back home, just get all of your health and mana back, and then come back and look for a good team fight in your favorable position.
1 second left until Void Prison is available. Kyocha here in great position. H82 is actually caught. That was such a scary moment there. Here comes the stage dive. The banner is down, so no more resistance here for Raven. Kyocha again coming from the backside here. Gets the Prism off onto Joju here. And actually is going to try to kill him. Ice Block goes off. Great Ice Block there. This is actually a fight that Black, I feel, will have to retreat for. There's way more poke on Raven. Even though they were slightly ahead in health for the beginning of that fight, they're starting to get poked down here quite a bit. They're going to need to leave as they've used all their heroics except Palm.
Yasake was literally just forced out of the fight on the top left side because he was low on health, and from Merryday was way too far away to take care of him. And having Sake out of the fight just turned around the fight for Raven. And Raven, they're focusing and communicating so well today that I think if like one more team fight can actually be game so close if they just push top. So we'll have to take a look here. MVP Black having a little more of a struggle. I'm not quite sure on the. They already have two global heroes.
There were mistakes made by Black in this game, especially the one where they were somehow proxied between the fort and the cannon tower there in mid lane, where they just caught totally out of position there. I'm not entirely sure what they were trying to do, perhaps trying to get that fort because it was pretty low. And Raven is team fighting better than them, absolutely. Their comp kind of suggests that they would, especially because they have Varian versus the Zeratul, which makes Zeratul very difficult to engage with because they're so risky when you move in to try to get kills or try to get damage done.
That's right.
But they have this keep lead, okay? They have the top lane pushed. We see Sake continuously going up there to pressure that. He's up there as we speak. They're trying to force the faster 20, and it looks like it's going to happen. That's the power of global heroes. We've talked about it to death, and we're going to continue to talk about it until it's no longer meta. Kyocha, basically just a vision ward right now. He's a Medivh that you can hit at this point in time. Finds where the rotation is. Hamlin is very cut off. That was scary there.
And they're going to try to go for Sake again. Dion going for the taunt, and swap does fail. Sake was a little bit out of position, but he went back in time, just in time, so that Raven couldn't catch him. And also Merryday, whenever someone from the front line is taunted, Merryday is forced to go to the front line and cleanse the taunt. That's what kind of forced the teamfight around and couldn't really heal Sake from the other side. And there's going to be another teamfight going on here. Merryday barely. What mechanics there?
Mechanics there, the name of the game. He does cleanse that root off of reset. I feel like Black should not be contesting this tribute too much. They can drop down a few napalm strikes for sure. The mines are going to be cleared. But this tribute is so insignificant. Reset may die for it here.
Palm just used for safety. It wasn't too like wasted. The worst thing would have been if Sergeant Hammer actually died. So it wasn't wasted, but still.
He did not get riposte either, so no cooldown reduction for that as 20 is reached. Would have liked Black to be a little bit more conservative there and push the mid lane. They had, Tist pushing the bot lane that entire time, so there's actually 2 catapults on the core right now. The longer this fight goes, the better it is for Black, because the core is going to start to take some serious damage. As you can see, the core health appears on screen. This boss cannot be taken. Sake has Gust, and now there's going to be 3 catapults. And you know what? They can actually delay these hearts if they wanted to. They're not going to, because it's a bit risky with how low everyone is. Although, as I say that they do decide to stay, the core is starting to lose shields very rapidly back at home.
And Dion comes into taunt, but no way, they're already 20. Raven's not 20 yet. MVP Black still has the lead in talents, and He just decided to fight, and Varian is the first one to go down. H82 still fighting in the front line, but not too well. Joju putting out that Twilight Dream in the middle, but this is gonna be, looks like it's gonna be a full team wipe.
This is game. The game was probably over either way as they got stuck here. The second Black decided that they were going to stop them from hearthing and force the fight, the game was over because the boss was going and these catapults were already on the core. Raven gets dominated here in terms of macro. They had good team fights in the mid game, and also the late game their team fights were good. Their calls were on point. The synergy, you can really feel it. You can see that in the team fights, it's like they move as one, and for them playing for the first time together a pro match as 5, it's nice to see this early, that level of synergy. And you can see the smiles on their faces. They know they played a good game. It's just the draft that Black had allowed them to run circles around them. They had the early boss, they had that early keep wall, then the early keep, which actually cost Raven that game. So there you have it. Game number 1, pretty one-sided. There was definitely a moment where Black made some mistakes in the mid-game.
I wouldn't say that was one-sided. Raven was actually doing pretty well, and their teamwork was, for the some part, they were actually having better teamwork compared to Black, as Black was heavily just was focusing on macro instead of micro team fighting. And then Sergeant Hammer and Sake's form, he does not look in the best shape tonight with that Falstad.
I feel like the Iron Fist Kharazim we're seeing from Meride is not as strong as some of the other Kharazim we've seen in this league already. Hyde is a player that obviously comes to mind when you think about Iron Fist Kharazim. You think of Bakery as well. See that every now and then in Europe, but like he made some mistakes there, oftentimes being aggressive where he had to palm himself, or he nearly had to palm himself, then had to retreat, heal twice before he could be involved in the fight because he didn't want to waste his palm. He didn't take riposte there at the end, which at the end of the game it didn't really matter, I guess, either way. But we'll see how it plays out. I'm not going to say he's bad or anything. I just feel like he played very aggressively in moments in that game where basically the coordination you described on Raven was like, kill him. What is he doing? You know, like you might be able to get away with this on Hero League or against a weaker team, but we're not actually that weaker team. And I think it was Coach actually said in the interview segment that we have for Black, he doesn't really feel like there are any weak teams in this tournament right now.
That's right.
And the question is for me, I'm like, which team is going to be the weaker team in this tournament? Which one is going to be like on our minds, number 8? And so far from what we've seen, it's not clear. Raven looks really strong too.
I can barely think of the higher maybe 3-4 teams and then mid-tier, and I don't know who's going to go down from that middle tier to the lower tier. And if I think of the support fight compared between Joju and Meride, Joju did lose the first match, but I think Joju won the support fight. Meride did have some nice cleanse off that taunt, but he basically had to care for everyone on his team. So but Joju hitting on that skill shots every single time, and Twilight Dream on that right point, I think that turned around a lot of the team fights. And from so far what we've seen from Joju today, I'm liking this player.
I think NMX also played a good Li Ming.